Alright guys, welcome to Red's Resort. Today we're going to be taking a look at my experience with the 3.24 PTU and how I went in expecting the worst and ended up pleasantly surprised. There's some caveats to that obviously. The bugs and stuff defo put a dent in the experience, but we'll get into all that and more. First off, I'd like to say a big thank you to my channel members, Nils Gerdes, Spacecraft, Thomas in London, and Bad Randolph. You guys are the tip of the spear, you have my eternal gratitude. If you know anyone looking to get into Star Citizen, please use one of the codes on screen to get some extra starting credits. If you'd like to become a member, the buttons will be below and you can get some perks for joining too, some extra entries into competitions and your referral displayed, as well as badges and emotes and stuff for using when you're kicking around the channel. Speaking of which, we're doing a giveaway today. We're giving away the Sabre Firebird 3-paint pack and the Hornet Mark II 3-paint pack. All you have to do to enter is just answer the following question. Is the cake a lie? Will Server Mission actually do what is promised and deliver us into a land of working AI and smoothly operating inventory indoors? Let me know what you think in the comments below. On with the show. So 3.24 has been a pretty mixed bag so far. We finally got the cargo and ship elevators in, and the local inventory system was shifted away from just a keybind to a terminal. To say it's caused quite a bit of turmoil would be an understatement. Personally, I wasn't looking forward to it, to be honest, and like a lot of other people, was especially not looking forward to spending even more time setting up before missions and loading cargo myself. And that turned out to not even be the biggest problem. There were a lot of teething problems with the hangars, getting in and out was a problem, stuff was getting lost through the floor, audio problems, and a multitude of other bugs that made the first few days into quite a frustrating experience for a lot of citizens. To top it all off, the transit system wasn't doing too great either. Basically, I spent my first day in the PTU, and I should stress that this was still wave 1, getting really bummed out with the revelation that even just placing things in a hangar and getting them to stay there was... yeah. And even if you did manage it somehow, when you took off on your ship, the thrusters just blew everything over anyway. One must imagine Sisyphus happy. But now I've been plodding around for a while, finding out how things work and getting some workarounds and tips from other people in the community, and it's starting to feel more and more like I'm really enjoying the patch. There's still a smouldering burger van full of things going wrong across the board, but when you persevere long enough to glimpse that shiny potential underneath, once things even out, these could be some dramatically beneficial changes to the game overall. Let's start with the worst offenders of the bunch. The hangars and the janky placement system we're supposed to somehow manipulate objects with. For a start, let me just say, the new ship retrieval is absolutely awesome. A true visual feast that is every spacefarer's wet dream come true. And it's also awesome the second time you do it too. Maybe even the third. After that you start saying, why did he keep turning all the lights off? I'm like trying to work over here. Meanwhile, my helicopter tinnitus from DCS is standing holding CIG's beer, laughing, but I can't hear anything for the 200 decibel elevator slowly turning my spleen to mush. None of that matters though, because I do still love it. It's just a bit slow when you're already straining to get on with things. And I'll keep coming back to this as the primary defence. Atmosphere. This whole rigmarole not only forces a deeper level of planning over a task, but inevitably adds a certain ceremony to the proceedings as well. And if you're in a hurry, you can simply call your ship at the ASOP terminals like you used to, and it's waiting for you on the pad here when you arrive. And I feel the same way about the cargo elevator. Yeah, sure, it adds steps to things that we didn't essentially need before, but everything in this game is intentionally, needlessly realistic. To a point at least. So it fits the world and the mechanics quite well. Bringing up a ton of small items for you to handle individually is obviously not the way to go. You can open the cargo boxes and the backpacks in the cargo elevator screen and move items inside before bringing them up. You can also put one SCU boxes inside two SCU boxes and so on. And setting aside the decoration for now, as CIG will clearly have to address how items interact with each other and hopefully add some sort of snapping mechanics around the edges or something. If you set up a bunch of crates that only contain tailored loadouts that you are likely to use most frequently, you can actually save quite a lot of time. Basically, you avoid having to scroll through pages of inventory each time. So you go to your armor crate and it just contains your favourite armors. Then your favourite weapons crate, then your supplies crate, that's just full of green crews and buster bars, and then your other armor crate that's not your favourite armors, but the ones that you're going to wear because CIG still won't give you your subscriber gear back. And these just sit in your hangar, easily accessible. Granted, there's still a bit of time to set up your boxes in this way, but it gives the experience a tangible boost because we can now organise things exactly how we like them. If you don't plan on using the elevators for cargo, you can use a snap grid in here. That at least lets you place and arrange a nice little room that's easier to place things on. And I have tested this a bit, and most of the time it stays here. If I jump servers, the chances of this room actually staying here with all this stuff is about 50-50. Which is about, par for the course for most things in Star Citizen working. Also, don't send it down into the warehouse or it will auto-transfer everything back to the local inventory. I should also probably point out here that a lot of things are changing pretty much every day at this point. So take all this advice with a rather large pinch of salt and defo run a few tests before committing your best gear to the void. The other big change is the inventory terminals, which I was honestly pretty loath to even talk about, mostly because there was nothing constructive to say about them. They weren't more immersive and they doubled the task. I had a bit of a rant planned here, but thankfully CIG has reverted to the old system for the time being. Unfortunately, we'll need to wait for another redesign to get the search function back, but it is good to see CIG still coming and going with the community when faced with pushback. Don't get me wrong, I love the UI update and the principle of removing the magic eye button and all that stuff, and removing the ability to just quickly swap out equipped items was just never going to work. But it did bring to light what I really love about the development of this game. It's that evolutionary approach. Trial and error. Keep trying things until people are mostly happy. Anyway, ships. Let's talk about ships. We get a few ships available in the game in 3.24. First off, we've got the X1 series from Origin. Such a nice design this. Been looking forward to this for a very long time. By the way, I just parked these in here for the best lighting. They did not come up on this elevator, just in case that was giving you the wrong idea. You need to bring them up on the main elevator one at a time. And just look at all the cool little things that it can do. It's got pop-ups and pull-outs and folding bits. The animations are lovely. The skins are lovely too. Not to mention, I can now put this on the 400i garage and it suits it very nicely. The X1 are all available at Area 18 and the Force and the Velocity can be found at Lorville as well, at least in the PTU. The X1 will run you 100k, the Velocity is 120 and the Force is 130. We also get the C2 and the A1 in this patch as well, perfectly timed for all those cargo missions that we'll talk about later. And I'm liking them a lot so far, big fan of the Crusader design language, it's got a nice vibe to it. Powerful, efficient engines capable of mastering the steep gravity wells of gas giants. And you'll no doubt have seen this, but you can now customise your interiors with some of the furniture too. Another excellent little detail that just leaves me a pretty happy citizen right now. These two ships are available at Crusader Showroom. The A1 is 5 million and the C1 is 3.1 million. Last up, if we're talking about ships, we've got to talk about the Raft. The Raft can finally accept cargo from tractored sources. Its claws now hang empty and the boxes will just snap on like you'd expect. And honestly, I couldn't be happier. I'm going to have a really hard time deciding which ship to do cargo runs in at this point. The C1 is sleek and new and it's got that decoration thing going on, and the Raft is already a mobile base with everything you need to just keep on trucking. Oh yeah, and another thing I wanted to talk about, you can now apparently salvage ships in your hangar. Now, I've not tried this myself and it looks like there will be a severe amount of jiggery-pokery to get it to work, involving, getting the ships towed in and then swapping your ship out for the Vulture. But it is possible, I've heard. Again, proceed at your own risk. but this could be really great to just keep nipping out, towing back a ship, setting up in the comfort of your own hangar, and storing everything in the warehouse nearby. Mining isn't really affected in any of the ways you might think so far. I've heard that you can no longer attach pods to the prospector, so don't take them off. But refining works the same. You put it in for refinement straight from the ship inventory as before, and then when done, can't be placed in the local from the refinery computer. It has to go straight into a cargo ship. If you want, you can then take it out and store it in local. So you can build up a bunch before delivery, but again, that might change before the live release. Also, rock mining is totally borked for the moment, as you can't sell your haul in the normal way by just pulling up to a mining outpost. There may be a workaround there though. I didn't get a chance to try everything I wanted. There is a server crash about every 20 minutes to be honest. Possibly storing in local or in a cargo ship will have different effect when trying to sell. Rentals and rental pricing are changing. This post from Elliot Maltby details a bunch of new cargo related rentals that we can expect to be coming very soon, if not already. And they should be cheaper as well. Looks like we'll be able to rent a Vulture, Raft, Mole, Star Runner, Carrack for some reason, Caterpillar, Hull C, Reclaimer, Starfarer and more. He says there's going to be about 20. I have been trying out the new cargo missions and I must say they've done really well with this. There is a satisfying amount of chaining can be done. The reputation gains seem pretty reasonable. Not entirely sure about the payout. I'd have to spend quite a bit more time before making a decision on that, but that's also going up in a patch coming very soon too. I'm pretty sure that right now, by the time you hit the next reputation rank and the cargo amounts go up, you won't have made enough money to buy a ship that will accommodate that jump. That doesn't mean it's imbalanced, I suppose, just that you'll either need to rent for a while, perhaps, or start doing multiple runs. Normal trading of cargo has taken a massive hit, however. RMC trading is gone for the time being at least, perhaps just to push people into missions for testing. But yeah, the cargo missions have been a lot of fun. We could be doing with more pickup points and destinations to keep things as varied as possible, as well as some different kinds of missions with various consequences. I've not hit the top tier missions yet, so maybe there are still things that I've not encountered yet, but some combative high risk ones would be nice. For example, there's still a ways to go. There's no other delivery companies as of yet for a start, but this first outing is absolutely spot on. CIG has done a great service here, and I feel like there's a lot of room to manoeuvre in the game with this loot for them. We could have hunted cargo where NPCs show up all the time, cargo that messes with your ship, short out systems maybe. Animals have been mentioned, prisoner transport would be cool, especially if they can occasionally break out so they need guarded. I don't know. I just feel like you could get really wild with this one, and even with restricting it to the current tech, make some really varied missions. Last up was a total surprise to me, even though I sat and watched a guy build one on Star Citizen Live, but there's a bunch of new locations being added to the game called FOBs, or Forward Operating Bases. Seems to be around 5 different variations from what I've heard. I couldn't establish if they were tied to any missions yet, but I'm sure they will be soon enough. And they look awesome. Glad to see some more stuff starting to populate the vast plains of these planets. Another little pleasant surprise there. Anyway, that's all I've got time for. I did want to cover some of the whole balancing tweaks that have been done to some of the ships, but to be honest, working with the PTU is like hammering nails in with your face right now. But it is steadily getting better with each patch. Shouldn't be too long now before we get to a live release. Appreciate you taking the time to spend some time in the resort today. If you haven't already, check out my other video from the other day about pyro stuff, and hopefully, I'll see you next time. 07 guys.